What's going on, folks? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to talk to you guys about Lil Wayne's kind of secret, kind of unofficial mixtape that came out in 2007. The Drought is Over too. Now, basically, after Lil Wayne's 2005 project, The Carter 2, and his Like Father, Like Son album with Birdman in 2006, there was a fever pitch for Lil Wayne, and a lot of people were really hungry for the Carter 3. And originally he was going to put it out in 2007, and like when he dropped the Drought 3, so I think it was like April 2007's the Drought 3, like that really put things at an even higher fever pitch, and then everyone thought Lil Wayne was going to 2000 April 2007's The Drought 3 had everyone thinking that Lil Wayne was going to drop the Carter 3 in the summer of 2007. Didn't happen, but he did work on the Carter 3 in 2007. That was kind of the concept. So you basically got like he had records that he was doing, and the Drought is Over projects. The Drought is Over 1 was just basically about a manifesto of what was kind of happening with the Drought 3. So that's very similar, but the Drought is Over 2 was what he was working on for the Carter 3. And a lot of these are pretty story gems. Like, for the most part, I haven't really covered, like, if there are other rappers out there that have done, like, unreleased mixtapes, or not unreleased, but unofficial mixtapes where they have, like, sessions, like, supposing 50 Cent were to have Get Rich or Die Trying unreleased sessions that were circulating on the internet and actually in an official project. I mean, Lil Wayne's about the only real cat that I really did this with, and it just is not. It's not frequent that I delve into some of the supposed would-be sessions of like an album. I mean, it's just the fact that the Carter 3 was such a massive project and everyone was basically ready for it. I mean, that had to do with, I think, these albums, the Drought is Over projects that he dropped throughout 2007, plus the Birdman album and the leak. I feel like all of these were kind of reasons as to why the Carter 3 sold 1 million copies in its first week in 2008, because it was just out of nowhere. I mean, how did Lil Wayne do like Taylor Swift and Eminem numbers and that type stuff, and those type people, and like Snoop Dogg back in his Doggy Style days, that type stuff is just kind of crazy. It manifested throughout. Like, I think if Lil Wayne would have dropped the Carter 3 in 2007, I don't think it would have sold 1 mil in its first week, but it was just purely playing off anticipation and then delivering. I mean, the concept actually had Lil Wayne actually having the quality in the verses. He was doing the feature game real well. And the stuff that you're going to find on this project in particular is just outstanding. Lil Wayne was at a particular apex that it was very deserved when he sold 1 million in 2008 with the Carter 3. So that's kind of the concept. I am going to say, like, this review might be a little bit shorter just because there's not really singles from it, but there are some pretty hefty songs I definitely feel like deserve to kind of have some recognition. So I just would have to say, like, some of the immediate ones, I really feel like it's like a shame that not just these are unreleased, but the fact that they're not on the Carter 3 itself. Like, I definitely feel like the kind of saxophone kind of song type vibe on Did It Before, and plus that's kind of a gimmick song where he just keeps rhyming with the phrase Did It Before, and it's just interesting. He makes a whole song just about rhyming that phrase. That one's outstanding. I think Kanye West produced that one. That should have been on the Carter 3. It's just good. I mean, it was kind of a gimmick song, but it's an excellent gimmick song. It's one of the definitely best or better gimmick songs in rap. And another huge highlight is I Feel Like Dying. This is like a signature Lil Wayne song. This was one of the main reasons why the fever pitch was so high back in 2007 for the Carter 3. Prostitute Flange is one that was such a good song and was just so sing-songy, and Lil Wayne kind of doing like that kind of Drake kind of rap and Kanye West 808s and heartbreak type vibe, that it wound up surfacing a year later on the Carter 3. I mean, Prostitute 2 is decent, but this was the original Prostitute Flange that wound up being pretty kick-ass. So they're both good. I would recommend getting both of the Prostitute songs. They're just pretty kick-ass. I'm a Beast. Really, Lil Wayne just annihilates this song, just going in on it and just kind of having like this real lyrical slaughter. He has a couple good gem songs with Mac Main. Zoo is a pretty good one. I wish that Lil Wayne would have been on there more, but Mac Main kind of trades verses with him, so they both do a good job on Zoo. and then I Know the Future is a really decent one. There's just some interesting ones as far as how this manifesto kind of goes. I feel like I Know the Future has a really nice sample. I mean, there's some ones on here that Lil Wayne really does some sampling, kind of like Cameron and Kanye West. It was interesting what the Carter 3 almost was, because the Carter 3 that came out in 2008 was not like this. I mean, minus maybe Prostitute Flange and like maybe like La La and Let the Beat Build. I mean, Lil Wayne had like a miniature obsession with doing samples from like the 70s, 80s, or wherever the hell they came from. But a lot of these are particularly at a high point. Like you can see some of these, like I Know the Future, World of Fantasy, Scarface, Help, uh, trying to think of a few other ones. Diamonds and Girls kind of had that. Like, I mean, there's a number of samples on here that's just interesting as far as trying to get that sort of nonsense, but it works just because I do feel like the original Carter 3 would have been probably not as massive as like the Carter 3 from 2008. I just, like I said, I called it like that. It kind of felt like the Lil Wayne from like the days of like Grown Man and like songs that were kind of good for the Carter 2, but just didn't have like the widespread. Like the thing about the Carter 2 is it's very much like the album before the album, just because I felt like Lil Wayne was quite lyrical on the Carter 2, but it just didn't have like the crossover songs. It didn't have a Lollipop. Fireman was great, but it wasn't nearly as good as Lollipop. Didn't have a Millie, definitely. Didn't have Got Money with T-Pain. Didn't have Mrs. Officer. Didn't have Phone Home, just the overall widespread appeal of that, kind of a fifth single getting to the fifth single territory of comfortable. And this records like that the Carter 3 just massively did. I mean, just something happened to Lil Wayne between like late 2007 and like the first 3 or 4 months of 2008 when he crafted the Carter 3. But I feel like with this project, I do think the Carter 3 would have been good if these songs had manifested and these had been the ones that he chose. But I don't. This to me felt like it probably would have been a gold selling album more so than a 3 times platinum like the Carter 3 was. I mean, I can sense that these songs are good, but I mean, minus like Did It Before, World of Fantasy, I Feel Like Dying, Prostitute Flange, and that's pretty much about it in terms of songs that I feel like would be album quality, like easily kind of hits and highlights. I don't know what the single would have been. On this project, there was no single minus I Feel Like Dying that could have stood up the Lollipop or a Millie. That just kind of happens. I mean, Lil Wayne was still, I mean, he was on the hunt, and he probably still needed to continue being on the hunt because, I mean, there's definitely some lyrical barbs, and Lil Wayne is pretty much eviscerating these songs, but there wasn't anything that screamed #1 single or something like that. But just to kind of say how that sort of concept actually kind of turned out, I feel like with The Drought Is Over too, it would have probably been like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 project, but not the sheer like magnitude that the Carter 3 kind of was. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and list the songs I recommend to you. So there were 12 songs out of 17. The thing about it is, as this original project was 22 songs, but Dat Piff had to take down 3 songs just because Kush, Something You Forgot, and La 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 were on official albums out there somewhere, so they couldn't put the official stuff on there. But I know at least Kush was on the leak, and that is a good song, so just find that. It was originally on The Drought Is Over too, so that's pretty kick-ass. Lil Wayne at least chose that song to be official, and then La 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 wound up being on the Carter 3. So that he threw Busta Rhymes and Briscoe on there, and that was how that happened. I have not heard Something You Forgot. I thought about listening to it, but I don't know what official project it's on, but that's the only one I don't really know about. But apparently it's on some official release. Maybe it was touted as a single or something. The 12 songs I recommend out of 19, because really out of 17, there's 19 songs on here on the edition with the omitted songs, and then the Carter 3 intro and outro brings it down to 17. So I like 12 out of 17. So here they are, the ones I recommend. So Did It Before, World of Fantasy, I Know the Future, Time for Us to Fuck, Zoo, I'm a Beast, Diamonds and Girls, I Feel Like Dying, Colors, Get It Shoddy, Prostitute, or Brown Paper Bag, and Prostitute Flange. I relatively kind of feel like a few extras. There are some freestyles on here that I don't feel like would have been on the Carter 3, but it's just some bonus kind of jargon on here that's actually pretty good. Like, I feel like Colors, Get It, Shoddy, and Brown Paper Bag are just freestyles, this classic mixtape Lil Wayne, like the Drought 3 kind of was. So I feel like Colors, I realized that that was a Farnsworth Bentley song, who was an ally of Kanye West. So I'm going to have to look him up and see if he had any projects, because I do remember like Farnsworth Bentley being on Nick Cannon's Wild and Out, and he did a pretty good job. So I just wonder how his projects, if he dropped any projects, because apparently he was going to drop an album back in 2007, but Lil Wayne was on a song with him. So there's that. Get It Shoddy is just the song he did with Lloyd. And then Brown Paper Bag is the DJ Khaled song. Maybe he did a new freestyle on there. But yeah, I mean, there's just enough of these just to kind of say that I do feel like Diamonds and Girls is another one. I mean, this is easy kind of just mixtape material. I mean, some of this, I feel like I'm kind of glad that this didn't make the Carter 3, because it is good stuff, but it's just mixtape kind of, smoking a blunt, hotboxing in the car with your homies kind of vibe, where it's just not necessarily like, I don't feel like there's any club songs on here. I couldn't see any of these being like breaking. I mean, minus like I Feel Like Dying and Did It Before. There's not really an abundance of like club songs on here that I feel like probably could have been like something that you could step out to. I mean, these are good songs, definitely for vehicles, hotboxing in a car, smoking with your homies in the backyard, going places, driving, that type of stuff. But there's not really like crossover type stuff. This would have been, if this would have been the Carter 3 that Lil Wayne made, I definitely would have said that this probably would have been like one of the best songs for one of the best albums for vehicles, but it just didn't have much beyond like kind of more homey and kind of inward kind of errand running kind of music. This is just very much an errand running kind of album. So no stepping out, not too many songs for the ladies, no glossy kind of club cuts or just like vehicle type stuff, like nothing like Grown Man or Fireman or Hustler music from the Carter 2. So it's just kind of, I mean, it just was very much in the trenches, just him kind of hitting the punching bag, trying to figure out what he's going to do. It's just him basically in practice mode. And I feel like it's good for that sense, but I didn't see anything minus I Feel Like Dying, Did It Before, and Prostitute Flans. I felt like could have really crossed over wholesomely. So me liking 12 out of 17, I'm going to give this record an 8.75 out of 10. Like, I want to give it a 9. If I had like one more song, I probably would get a 9 out of 10, but it's definitely excellent, definitely a lot of fun. Lil Wayne, and if you want lyrics and folks who talk about real rap, this is real rap, and Lil Wayne proved that considerably. But I do feel like it's underground. This is underground Lil Wayne. He does have some kind of crossover moments, but in terms of like the sheer, if you're not just if you're not just looking for car joints with your homies and hot box smoke blunts kind of music, that type of stuff, it's not quite as even. Now back in the day, 2007, 2008, this was like, hell, what are you talking about? Why wouldn't you just want a bunch of hot box in your car records? But there's just not crossover kind of go out to the club and that type of stuff, songs for ladies, that type of stuff. So it's just kind of, that's kind of the context about it. 8.75 out of 10. The social score, I'll give an 8 out of 10, because it does, I mean, Lil Wayne's, grossly popular and has like easy kind of lyricism, and he's one of the easiest rappers to listen to just because of how good he is. But I do feel like I said, this is kind of punching bag kind of music, where it's kind of like you just are kind of getting like the cooking more so than the finished product of the cooking. And that's kind of the stuff I like it. I mean, that's the thing, it's good stuff, but there's just, I don't know. I wish that this would have been official, because I just wonder what Lil Wayne, if you were to walk up to him and ask him what he thinks of the Drought Is Over projects that are on the internet, what he would actually say about them, because they need to be official. And it's just kind of one of those prospects where it's like, yeah, these are damn good, but it's just unofficial, and it's kind of like, well, what do you do with them? But I would like a single, but this is good music, but it's just the promotion of it's very scant. It's this low key kind of stuff. It's hush hush, so it's kind of the thing.